Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be talking about finding the circumference of a circle. One of the things that we really need to make sure that we understand is that, once again, our diameter is going to equal 2 times radius. But in this case, again, we're looking for circumference. So another formula that we need to keep in mind is circumference is equal to our diameter times pi. Now, pi can be quite a few things. We'll be going over that in just a minute, but in this case, we're just going to leave it in terms of pi. That means pi is going to be part of our answer. And so finding the circumference of a flying disc with a radius, remember, half a length through a circle from the center to the edge is a radius. So if we have a radius, we don't have diameter. So we're going to have to use this guy first. So the circumference is equal to our diameter times pi. So our circumference, which we don't know, is equal to our diameter. Well, we know 2 times the radius, so we sit there and we can replace our d with 2 times our radius, which is 5, and we're still going to multiply that by pi. So this is how we can combine these two formulas. We're starting out with this, but we use this to substitute in for d, because d equals, so we can put this in place of it. So that means our circumference is going to equal 10 times pi. Now, this answer is in terms of pi, so we would write it like this. If we wanted to, this is the most exact form of the answer. This is the answer that Mr. Spies likes. This is the answer that Mr. Spies wants you to use. However, being in 7th grade, you also need to be able to understand that pi normally has 2 values assigned to it, 3.14, because if you remember, it's actually 3.14159, blah, 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 blah. It goes on, as far as we can tell, forever. So this is actually 3.14. Normally we'd put dot, 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 but therefore we use it as 3.14. Or pi is also equal to 22 over 7. If you calculate this, it comes out to 3.14, and then some. That's after the 4, that's when the decimal values start changing. So either one of these we can use. Now, the fraction we usually use when our coefficient is a multiple of 7. The reason is the coefficient and a denominator will cancel out when you're multiplying, therefore making it a simpler answer. However, both of these are estimates. This is exact, because until 10 pi is actually calculated, this is the most exact representation. These, when we substitute either of these two in, it is considered an estimate. So pay attention to what it's asking for. To me, this is reading find the circumference of the flying disc. So it's asking for an exact answer, not an estimate. So this, to me, is a correct answer. So answering this way would be exact. But if you wanted to, you could substitute these values in for pi and go one step further and find that the circumference equals 31.4, because we took 10 times 3.14, or it would equal 10 times 22 is 220 over 7. Those are also the same. Then we could divide this out, and we'd end up with 3.1 something. It's going to be close to 4, but it's not going to be exact. Again, these two are not equal, but they are close enough we can use them in our estimations. Now, here on the example for B, instead of a radius like we had for A, we've got a circumference. So we're finding the circumference of the watch face. So they measured, or they could have just used the minute hand to go from one side of the circle to the other, because it's tied in the center. And so the circumference is equal to our diameter times pi. Again, we're using this formula here. Well, in this case, that means our diameter is 28. So I can substitute 28 in for my answer here. And when I solve that, that means that C is equal to 28 times pi. Again, this is the most exact answer. So C equals 28 pi. Since it's saying find the circumference, it doesn't say estimate or approximate or anything like that. It says find. To me, this is the answer. However, you do need to also understand that you can put both of these into, and you can take 28 times 3.14 and get an answer. Or in this case, 28 is a multiple of 7, so I could also say C is equal to 28 times 22 over 7. Now, when I do is about, I need to change that sign from equal to about. And then when I do that, the 7 here cancels out here and only leaves 4 groups left. And 4 times 22 is going to be about 88. And I did forget my labels. So this is supposed to be centimeters, or sorry, millimeters. Oh my goodness, I can't read right now. Millimeters. Therefore, our circumference is about 88 millimeters, or equal to 28 pi millimeters. Make sure to watch it as many times as you need to. Take notes. Do whatever you need to help you out. Ask questions when you get into class.